All right, thank you so much for joining us. Listen, tell me a little bit about, please, what you do exactly.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me. So, I do digital health strategy consulting, which includes telehealth, of course, and innovation program design and management for large healthcare organizations, pharma, provider, medtech devices. And I'm particularly excited about the future of digital health and telemedicine in pharma.
Tell me, why is the future of telemedicine so important and so critical? Why is the whole industry so critical?
Well, I think we're at really a turning point where digital health is starting to be embraced. And I think there's a great opportunity for the pharma industry to really move beyond just providing drugs, but to provide drugs and digital. And one of the real interesting parts of digital health is virtual care. And so there's an opportunity to include virtual care in clinical trials, helping support patients remotely to collect information, to support them when they're having difficulty with their drugs or with the procedure.
Let me ask you a question. Do you have any anecdotes for me? Because what you're saying is so interesting. Do you have any anecdotes about how this plays out in real life with helping the patients and the...
Sure, a lot of opportunities. I think where we're going to see early adoption, and something that's being talked about right now, is using virtual care and support during clinical trials when a patient's on a new drug, and the first couple weeks they may be having some difficulty with the drugs, they could be having side effects like GI issues or headaches, and they want to just stop taking the drug and drop out of the clinical trial. But if we can provide virtual support, if we can provide home monitoring and coaching to help the patient with those side effects, with those uncomfortable conditions, and get them through that sort of critical period of about maybe 6 weeks so that they can stay in the clinical trial, finish the trial, and participate, it's been a total game changer for the patient, for the pharmaceutical company, and we're going to get the drugs to market even more quickly. And then once we know how to support patients in that way, we can think beyond just clinical trials, but for any patient that's starting a new drug that maybe is dealing with side effects and would love to talk to a nurse, would like to have an app to know what to do to help manage those side effects. So this really is a game changer for how patients are going to be taking the more difficult and complex drugs.
Are you allowed to tell us, because I know some of these trials are, where they're industry, they're with your company, right? But are you allowed to tell us of any that you've seen that went on that might have otherwise stopped without telemedicine?
So I don't have those details to share with you right now.
No, I figured you probably wouldn't even be able to. I mean, it was interesting, so I was interested, but okay. And so, what kind of a footprint do you think that you have left on the industry, and with your company, and what are some goals, for the future? What kind of strides you hope to make?
Well, I hope I'm not done making an impact.
Well, that's why I asked about the future.
Yeah, great. So just by way of history, I was at Kaiser Permanente and led the beginning of their telehealth strategy, which today, I don't know if you've seen, they're doing over 50% of their interactions with patients virtually, which is really game-changing. I then went on to become the Chief Innovation Officer at Boston Children's Hospital, where I led their telehealth program and helped launch about maybe a dozen pilot projects in all sorts of areas of telemedicine, virtual patient care, as well as physician-to-physician virtual consultation. Today, in my consulting practice, I hope to be able to bring other parts of the healthcare industry, such as pharma and medtech devices, also into the digital revolution and help them begin to embrace telehealth, because I think it's really an important innovation.
Right. So what do you think about the industry as a whole? Do you see any, what do you see?
So things have changed a lot over the last decade, which has been really exciting. I think we are at a turning point. I think we're about to see telehealth really broadly embraced. We're starting to see a lot of states that are opening themselves up to telehealth. I feel like we still need a little bit more work around reimbursement, and I'm hoping that the payers will get on board and recognize the tremendous cost savings, which is one aspect of telehealth. The value comes in many forms. Obviously cost savings, but also patient convenience. And I think that we're seeing more patients begin to clamor, and particularly the younger folks that are used to doing everything on the phone and having everything be at their fingertips. They want digital health, they want telehealth, they want care to come to them. So I think we're at a turning point in the industry, and I think the next 10 years are going to look nothing like the last 10 years.
It'll be a surprise. Have there been any surprises? Has anything surprised you recently?
Well, I think that just that the pace is accelerating has surprised me. It seemed like we were sort of moving slowly there for a while, but I think once we passed the tipping point around technology and people got really comfortable with the concept of virtual visits. I mean, everyone's doing, they're on Skype, they're FaceTiming. We're used to communicating that way. I think once that turned, things really started moving much more quickly. So that was what was surprising to me, is how the pace has changed.
Well, and what about this conference? I mean, for how many years have you been coming here?
Oh, a lot. Probably more than 10.
More than 10.
Yeah, quite a while.
What keeps you coming back every year?
Every year, there's still new things to learn, and there's more people to talk to, and I always look forward to seeing my friends and to networking, and I'm always interested in what's new in technology. It's the little companies that come that are just starting out that, a couple years from now will be a big and important company. I look at Taito. I remember when they were just starting out. Now they have a big booth. They won the Innovation Award this year. So you see the progress over time, but it's a wonderful conference.
What would you tell someone who was thinking about coming and was on the fence?
I say this is a place to come and learn about telehealth. The content that is shared here is amazing. There's no really competitive feeling, but really collaboration. We're all trying to drive telemedicine forward, and we're trying to really create an ecosystem where telehealth will thrive. And so I'd encourage anyone who's interested in learning more to come here and begin their journey here.
So do you have any favorite moments yet from this year, or anything you're really looking forward to over the next few days?
I thought the keynotes this morning were fabulous. I thought Patrick Kennedy did a great job. He really told the truth about his experience, but he also brought in the fact that telehealth can really make a difference in mental health. And I think we've seen a lot of early successes in that area, but I think it's still a lot of success to come.
Great. Hey, thank you so much for stopping by and speaking.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.